It's news time, 7:31. Let's get you where you need to go. Jeff Jensen.
Heavy traffic in Brooklyn on the westbound side of the Bell Parkway. Delays start way back by Ocean Parkway. And stay slow to Bay 8th Street. Looks like there's a problem there. If you happen to see what it is, because the jam cam is not showing it, 844-JAM-1010 is our tip line. Help a brother out, 844-526-1010. We've got some heavy traffic in Queens on the north Van Wyck. It's a broken down vehicle up by Atlantic Avenue. You're slow back to the Bell Parkway. Southbound, some slight delays headed down towards Kennedy Airport. And we're tied up in Queens. Looks like a crash on the eastbound side of the Grand Central Parkway by Jewel Avenue. Slow traffic now going back past the LIE. Some westbound delays approaching the expressway. The LIE is a little busy east by 108th, but take the LIE through Queens over the Grand Central Parkway. On Long Island, eastbound side of the LIE is looking good. Northern State's fine both ways. So is the westbound LIE for that matter. And here's what you need to know about. Here's what we see on Long Island's B3. A crash on the eastbound Southern State by Route 1 takes out the right lane. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels now. You got about a 20-minute wait into the GWB, 15 out, so that's easing nicely. The Lincoln and Howard are moving well. The Verrazano is still quite jammed going to Brooklyn on both levels. Jeff Jensen, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Now it's time to get into your official 1010 Winds AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Carl Erickson.
Well, it's beautiful weather to wrap up the second half of the weekend, and the nice stretch of spring weather will continue at least for the next several days as the sky clears out tonight with a low 47. Then lots of sunshine overhead tomorrow, definitely feeling like spring with those warm temperatures, high 66. Clear tomorrow night, low 47. And very pleasant into Tuesday. Sunshine and patchy clouds, high 68. You'll notice more clouds rolling in here on Wednesday, but still warm with a high of 66. Perhaps a late day shower with steadier rain coming in at night, then cooling off Thursday and Friday. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Kai Erickson on New York's weather station. 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Well, Scandinavian bathing culture is growing here in the U.S. If you don't know what that means, time to learn.
The sounds of the Costa Rican rainforest envelop bathers braving a cold plunge at the new Lower Bathing Club in the NoHo neighborhood of Manhattan. Co-founder James O'Reilly.
It's visceral and it connects with sort of a very primal part of our being.
Intense heat paired with cold plunges can feel primal. Lower has an infrared sauna, hotter 190-degree room, and large pool cooled to around 48 degrees. Studies show longevity and health benefits, including a Finnish finding that more frequent sessions improve outcomes.
You're 40% less likely to die from all-cause mortality if you're going 4 times a week versus 2 times.
That is correspondent Wendy Gillette.
I am the Universal User's Manual. I contain the secrets of the universe. What is the meaning of life?
Pixar's chief creative officer is now explaining why he dumped the LGBTQ storyline for Elio. Chief Doctor says Pixar did not want to expose young audiences to things they weren't ready to see or hadn't discussed with their parents. He added, quote, "We're making a movie, not hundreds of millions of dollars of therapy." Elio, which was released last June, follows a lonely kid who looks to the stars for friends after being rejected as an outsider by other kids his age. If you drive a Ford, there are a couple of recalls you should know about.
Ford has issued 2 recalls affecting nearly 1.74 million of its cars in the U.S. due to software issues that can cause the infotainment system to overheat and shut down, preventing the rear-view camera image from displaying when drivers are going in reverse or showing an upside-down image. Federal regulators say it could increase the risk of a crash. Certain 2020 to 2026 models of Ford Broncos, Edges, Escapes, and Lincoln Corsairs, Aviators, and Explorers are affected.
That's Chuck Sievertson reporting. Heading to Spain this summer, be ready. Barcelona, however you say it, will be a lot more expensive.
Barcelona will soon have one of Europe's highest tourist taxes, almost $18 a night for a hotel room. It's Spain's effort to curb tourists and fund affordable housing for residents pushed out by rising rents. Tourists are divided.
I fully agree with this taxation because it makes all the sense in the world because Barcelona is overcrowded.
No, I don't think I would come back. After all, we bring them revenue.
Barcelonians are skeptical the plan will work, but either way, the message is clear. Fewer tourists, more housing starting April 1st.
That's Brad Gibson reporting. When's news time, 7:37. 1010 Wins Entertainment News is next. I'll tell you about Olivia Rodrigo's new song. From the art galleries of Soho to the jazz clubs of Harlem, we are New York's all-new station.
The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening, 66 degrees at 7:40 on your Sunday, March 8th. I'm Stephanie Officer. Here's what's happening. Authorities find another device at Gracie Mansion today and have identified one of the objects found there yesterday after an anti-Muslim rally directed at the mayor. It was an IED. Iranian state TV has announced its new supreme leader. More on the 7th U.S. troop to die fighting the war in Iran. A woman is arrested for the death of a Queens man. And the WGA Awards are underway as the run-up to the Oscars draws closer. In sports, the Knicks lose in Los Angeles. 66 degrees, feels like 63 in Midtown. When's news time? 7:41. Let's get you where you need to go. Jeff Jensen.
Big traffic jam in lower Westchester County, southbound side of I-95, New England Thruway, just south of exit 15 in New Rochelle. That is an accident taking out a couple of lanes. 2 of the 3 lanes are blocked. The Hutchinson River Parkway is a great option for the cars only, of course. That is moving along pretty well. Very slow traffic in Queens. Accident on the eastbound side of the Grand Central Parkway by Jewel Avenue. Delay stretching way back, almost back to Northern Boulevard there. So actually, it goes back to Roosevelt Avenue. I would still stay with the LIE through Queens, even though it's a little bit busy eastbound by Woodhaven and again approaching the Grand Central Parkway. After that, the LIE is golden. And slow ride in Brooklyn on the BQE westbound from the Kosciuszko Bridge down to Kent and White Avenues. More slow traffic approaching the Brooklyn Bridge, and eastbound just some delays approaching Atlantic Avenue. Easing on the bell. Looks like a problem by the Verrazano has been cleared. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. A good ride now. Problem on the southern state all cleared out of the way. LIE and Northern move well. And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Getting much better at the George. We're down about a 15-minute delay into the city. 10 to 15 out. The Lincoln and Holland aren't bad. About that 10 out of the city at each of those crossings. Inbound, you're fine. Verrazano still sluggish to Brooklyn on both levels. Staten Island bound, you're fine. The Goethals and Outerbridge move well. Jeff Jensen, 10-10 wins on 92.3 FM.
As it turns out, authorities say one of the devices the FBI found at Gracie Mansion yesterday was, in fact, an IED.
It wasn't a hoax device or a smoke bomb, but an improvised explosive device. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch confirming following Saturday's chaotic rally outside of Gracie Mansion. Now, they have 2 teens arrested in connection to this, Amir Balad and Ibrahim Kayumi. And NYPD now working with the FBI and Joint Terrorism Task Force. And we're hearing from Mayor Mamdani, who says the attempt to use that device was not only criminal, but reprehensible, calling it an antithesis of who we are. Amanda Alexander, 10-10 wins on 92.3 FM.
Now, a third suspicious device was found near Gracie Mansion today in a car on East End Avenue between 81st and 82nd Streets. Cops roped off the area, sent in the bomb squad, and are conducted limited evacuations of nearby buildings. The FBI says 2 people who were arrested yesterday are still in custody, while tests are still being conducted on those other devices. Iran has just named its new supreme leader.
Iranian state TV now reports Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the late supreme leader of Iran, has been named as his successor. It comes as U.S. Central Command reports another American has died as a result of the U.S.-Israeli offensive against Iran from injuries incurred last week in Saudi Arabia. The conflict now entering its second week.
The president is not putting a timeline on this war. He has vowed that it will take as long as necessary, calling for unconditional surrender. The president also not ruling out ground troops, saying that U.S. boots on the ground could go into Iran for, quote, very good reason. Also, when the president asked if he would send in ground troops to secure the enriched uranium at nuclear sites in Iran, the president said, quote, we'll find out about that. He went on to say, at some point, maybe we will, that would be a great thing.
ABC News White House correspondent Selena Wang. Mike Dubusky, ABC News for 10-10 wins on 92.3 FM.
Now, the younger Khamenei had long been considered a contender even before an Israeli strike killed his father, and despite never being elected or appointed to a government position. The younger Khamenei is the family's second oldest son. He fought briefly in the Iran-Iraq War in the 80s that consolidated his father's rise to power. Now to what we know so far about the 7th U.S. service member to die in Iran. The Pentagon says they have not yet been publicly identified pending family notification. The service member was seriously injured on March 1st when Iran struck a Saudi military base where American troops were stationed. U.S. Central Command went on to say in a statement the service member died from those injuries, while military health officials were preparing a transfer for more advanced medical care at a U.S. military hospital in Germany. Meanwhile, the U.S. will order non-essential diplomats and families to leave Saudi Arabia as Iran escalates retaliation. And crude oil prices surged above $100 a barrel today after major Middle East producers cut output since the Strait of Hormuz is still closed because of the Iran war. U.S. crude oil surged about 35% last week in its biggest gain in futures trading history since 1983. The last time oil prices topped $100 per barrel was after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. President Trump has just responded to this on Truth Social, saying, quote, short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. Wayne's News Time, 7:46. A woman has been arrested for allegedly murdering a 59-year-old man inside the Queens Supportive Housing building where he lived. Cops tell Wynn's 33-year-old Odelin Gonzalez is accused of killing Felipe Gonzalez at the Barbara Farron residence at Far Rockaway. Gonzalez allegedly choked and murdered Gonzalez 2 days before he was found dead on the afternoon of January 30th with visible injuries to his face and head. The building houses former homeless people in recovery from behavioral health disorders. The victim was living on the straight and narrow, according to a source. Even though their last names are pretty similar, the victim and suspect are not related. The city medical examiner's office ruled his death a homicide on February 6th. Cops arrested Gonzalez February 25th. She remains held without bail until her next hearing appearance in Queens Criminal Court April 28th. She's charged with murder and criminal obstruction of breathing. Quite the milestone for the Legal Aid Society as they mark 150 years of service. The country's oldest and largest public defense and civil legal services organization will be honored with a new exhibit at the New York Historical. That exhibit traces how legal aid's work has helped shape the city's legal and social landscape.
We are reimagining justice, which requires us to confront poverty and racism at the root and advance a bold vision of equity where systems are not just less harmful, but are actively more just, fair, and inclusive.
That's Twyla Carter, Attorney-in-Chief and Legal Aid Society CEO, speaking to WINS. The 150th will also be celebrated citywide with community joy events across all 5 boroughs, partnering with organizations including Brick Arts Media, the Queens Museum, and Snug Harbor. A federal judge rules the Trump administration's actions to dismantle Voice of America are illegal.
U.S. District Court Judge Royce Lamberth says Carrie Lake, President Trump's choice to lead the federal agency overseeing Voice of America, did not have the authority under the law to take her actions. His ruling was the result of a lawsuit filed by 3 journalists laid off by Lake. Lake calls it a bogus ruling by an activist judge and says it will be appealed. The journalists say they feel vindicated. The decision's effect on VOA operations is not clear. Voice of America transmits news coverage to countries around the world. VOA has been operating with a skeleton staff in only a handful of languages. I'm Mike Hempen.
Trophies are being given out at the WGA Awards. We'll tell you about the winners, but first... Wayne's News Time, 7:51. Let's get you where you need to go, Jeff Jensen.
It's bumper to bumper for that matter in Queens, eastbound side of the Grand Central by Jewel Avenue. Accident looks like it's now on the shoulder. Delay is still stretching back to the Long Island Expressway. So through Queens, even though the LA is a bit busy between Queens Boulevard and the Grand Central, it's better than the Grand Central itself. Heavy traffic on the north end after your accident cleared by 96. Delays still stretched back to the mid-70s. And southbound at 125th Street, that's long-term work on the Harlem River Drive with only the right lane getting by there. Heavy traffic in Westchester County, lower Westchester, southbound side of I-95 slow for over a mile into exit 15 in New Rochelle. That's Main Street. The left and center lanes are out, so get over to the right. Try the Hutchinson River Parkway instead. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Much better at the George, down about a 10 to 15 minute wait each way to both the upper and lower levels. The Lincoln and Holland aren't bad. Slow to Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Bridge. The Williamsburg and Manhattan are better. And the Verrazanos has a sluggish ride going to Brooklyn. Staten Island bad and you're fine. Jeff Jensen, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Now let's get into your official 1010 Wins AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Carl Erickson.
It was a very nice second half of the weekend with those warmer temperatures. As we go through tonight, we need to grab the jacket as temperatures cool down to low 47 with a mainly clear sky. But then temperatures rebound nicely tomorrow with plenty of sunshine, high 66. Clear tomorrow night, low 47. And warm and pleasant into Tuesday, definitely something more like late April with a high of 68. And one more warm day to go on Wednesday, but you will notice an increase in the cloud cover, maybe a late day shower, which will evolve into a steadier rain at night. High during the day, 66, and temperatures trending downward later on in the week. In fact, by Friday, we'll likely be back into the 40s. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Kai Erickson on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
The Writers Guild Awards are underway here in New York City at the Edison Ballroom.
You boys twins? Nah, we could.
So far, Dying for Sex won Best Limited Series, while The Pit won Best New Series and Best Drama Series. The Pit and Righteous Gemstones took Best Episodic Drama and Comedy, respectively. One Battle After Another took Best Adapted Screenplay. Usually, the Writers Guild holds simultaneous ceremonies in New York and LA, but this year, a West Coast ceremony was canceled because of an ongoing WGA West strike. The union has been striking since February 17th, alleging management committed unfair labor practices amid first contract negotiations. Let's go to Alaska, where the annual Iditarod sled dog race is underway, with a champ hoping to repeat.
The dogs are ready. So's the returning champion Musher. Still important, or same old to Jesse Holmes?
It means everything to me to defend the title. It means I have it, It means I achieved my biggest goal in life, but we're not done, I just want to try to keep pushing myself to do great things.
The interest?
Not only Alaska and the whole wide world, that, you put your best foot forward every day and, good things happen.
The 1,000-mile race takes about 10 days.
That is Chuck Sievertson reporting. Having a cute little pet could attract people to stay in your rental property.
If you own a short-term rental property and want to generate additional income by attracting more renters, consider getting a cute pet. Temple University research shows renters associate a cute pet with a human baby.
Let's say large eyes, like a small nose, and like a big forehead.
Temple Associate Professor Lou says a cute pet can result in the renter forming an impression about the property owner.
You tend to associate that with credibility.
Researchers use photos of dogs, cats, lizards, and rabbits.
Correspondent Stephen Kaufman, right now we are at 64 degrees in Midtown. We're going down to a low tonight of 47. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, nice and warm again, a high of 66. Tomorrow night, clear skies with a low of 47. And then on Tuesday, we're still warm and pleasant, sunshine, some clouds. More clouds over Long Island that may last all day, a high of 68, but mainly in the 50s for Long Island. Winds news time, 7:56. Now, Bloomberg Money Watch.
A debate is raging over artificial intelligence and the future of work. On one side, genuine fear that the technology will cut workers at an unprecedented pace. On the other, deep cynicism that companies are exploiting those workers to dress up old-fashioned cost-cutting. The possibility that companies are using AI as a shiny excuse for ugly layoffs has become widespread enough that staffing agency Robert Half has given it a nickname, AI washing. While companies are eager to show investors they're embracing AI, experts on workplace automation say AI tools have not gotten to the point where they're causing significant cutbacks in the labor market. Recent research from Goldman Sachs argues the fears of an imminent AI jobs apocalypse are excessive. And Fed Governor Christopher Waller says the risks are overstated.
At the end of the day, people will figure out how to take this tool and harness it to make our lives better, more productive, and more efficient. We'll have more time to do other things.
I'm Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
WINS, WINS-FM and HD1 New York.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Gary Souter at the editor's desk. I'm Stephanie Officer.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM, New York.
Good evening. It's 64 degrees at 8 o'clock. I'm Suzanne Colucci. Here's what's happening. Evacuations near Gracie Mansion today after another suspicious device was found near the mayor's home. Police say the one thrown by a protester at a rally yesterday was a potentially deadly IED. Iranian state TV says the son of the late Supreme Leader has been named his successor. Pentagon now confirming a 7th U.S. service member has died in the war with Iran, now entering a 10th day overseas. 2 people pushed onto the subway tracks on the Upper East Side pulled to safety by Good Samaritans. Governor Hochul announces a statewide St. Patrick's